we want them confident when they come into an IT field that they've been given all of the tools necessary to navigate an actual career in IT, that we are literally the first step of a long career. Most of our students come from the gig economy, and we want them to be able to have full careers and better their lives.
I'm Shawn Hessinger, and this is Small Biz in 15, the show where we bring you small business news and tips to make your small business better. Recently, Small Biz in 15 went on location at Zoholics 2023 in Austin, Texas, and spoke to Marc Fishman, Marketing Director at CodeFish, about using software to run your coding bootcamp.
Marc, let's start out with just talking a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. CodeFish itself, like I said, is an IT boot camp. We specialize right now in training students completely from the ground up, literally people who have barely even turned on a computer. And in 24 weeks, we can train them. Right now, our disciplines are in software development, engineer, and test. We're also launching cybersecurity, DevOps, and we're looking into possibly Salesforce. But I think I'm here to maybe convince them to change that to Zoho.
Let me ask you a little bit about how you got started.
Sure. CodeFish itself is actually stemming from an original business called Tectorial Academy, which was founded, I believe, in 2019. And the impetus, apparently, as we've been told here, the secret origin is our owner, Tamerlan Nurkalov, had basically walked past one of our classrooms. He overheard the lesson and he goes, that doesn't sound right. So he had a discussion with his COO. They had a disagreement about the specifics of that course, I suppose. And basically in November of this year, papers were signed. Tectorial made their way out of campus and they've launched their own academy. I believe they're in Houston right now. And we maintained the building presence, but we changed all the marketing over and now we are CodeFish.
Can you talk a little bit about your customer, your client? I mean, who are most of the people who come to you?
Right now, I would say that we specialize in the immigrant community in Chicago. I'd say about 95% of our students all hail from Russia, Ukraine, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey. That seems to be where most folks are at. One of my particular goals in being hired is to start diversifying that.
What kinds of things are you looking for in technology solutions, and what's caused you to kind of look into solutions? What kind of pain points are you trying to address?
Well, for our students' sake, our aim is to help them, again, in 24 weeks, be trained to accept entry-level positions in the IT field, ideally wherever they have the most personal interest. And I would say one of the tenets of our brand is the quality of education and the people that we turn out. And because of that, we want them confident when they come into an IT field that they've been given all of the tools necessary to navigate an actual career in IT, that we are literally the first step of a long career. Most of our students come from the gig economy, and we want them to be able to have full careers and better their lives.
So you were talking about being here basically to talk about to figure out whether Zoho might be a solution. What kinds of solutions from Zoho are you looking at specifically, and how would they work in your business?
Well, I should mention we are a Zoho customer. Zoho is integrated fully into our business, and actually I'm here for many reasons, one of which specifically is to help our Zoho stack fully automate the student experience, basically going from a lead all the way to a customer of ours. But from the student's perspective, and where I'm also investigating, like I said, we are formerly a Salesforce instruction. So one of our methodologies that you could become a Salesforce engineer. I just have a hypothesis that Salesforce, as big a company as it is, isn't the only game in town. And I think Zoho is one of those diamonds in the rough where we could be training great students for businesses and partners in this atmosphere that helps separate us from a lot of other coding boot camps out there right now.
So why don't you, having said that, you already are a Zoho customer, what do you use Zoho for now, currently?
Everything. We use it first and foremost as a CRM. It's where we're tracking all of our leads. As a marketing director, I'm using campaigns, Zoho Social, looking into the marketing hub to kind of gather both of those elements together. And then we're going to transition while I'm here to talk a little bit more about Zoho Finance, the subscription model, whichever one happens to work, tie that into Zoho Books. Essentially, my goal is to use as many of the 50 apps as humanly possible, if only to get in the record books.
And so just to back up a little bit, what are you looking at adding to that? In other words, how are you looking to integrate Zoho in further ways?
Beyond that, we're looking at portals, especially, and Zoho Learn. Those two elements could absolutely change the way that we are managing our business. Opening up the portals to our students would allow them to be self-sufficient when it comes to accounting problems, as well as being able to unlock all of the education as they're going through the course. And we want to tie that into Zoho Learn. Right now we're using Google Classroom just to house the video clips and whatnot. So this would be a great solution, again, to try to fit as much under one umbrella as possible.
So let me ask you, I don't know like how long you've been using Zoho solutions, but how has Zoho changed your business and how you do things?
Well, I should say I've been a Zoho customer since 2019 when I was introduced to it. And I've always thought of it as kind of being, small business in a box, everything that you can need, minus the creation tools. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I'll never get rid of my Adobe Creative Suite, but literally everything else can come from the Zoho if you use it correctly. And I've actually done a webinar for them before, and I still hold true to that. The idea for me is thinking of Zoho like that giant red cabinet from the mechanic shop. Every tool exists there, so it's not about coming here to look at Zoho's new features and see how I can shoehorn that into my business. I come to Zoho always with my problem ready to go because I know that there is a solution somewhere, even if it's a workaround. In as many years as I've been a customer here, we've never not solved the problem somewhere, somehow within the Zoho universe.
If you were talking to small business owners out there who might be considering this as a tool, what would be some of the things that you think might be goals that they might want to achieve by adopting this kind of software, and then maybe unforeseen, because there are probably unforeseen benefits that you saw once you started using it and thought, oh wow, we could have been doing this all this time too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, let me try to answer that with an anecdote. I think I've got a good one for this. So when I was working for my last position, it was at a call center where I was also the director of marketing. They had sent me to a local group of other call centers having their own little tiny mini conference, hilariously depressing. Well, while we were there, the keynote speaker, his whole keynote address was an hour-long talk about how he had revolutionized his business by individually purchasing upwards of 10 or 12 different software platforms. And this whole speech was, I need an email campaign, and I audited MailChimp and iContact and this and that, and I negotiated and I did this. And as he's going through each of these things, and you obviously are trying to take notes, and you don't know what you're going to do until they start talking.
Right.
He would start mentioning a topic. I would write the topic big. I would listen for 5 minutes, and then I would scribble down already in Zoho. And I'd hit the point. By the time he got to his fourth of 12 softwares, I had started just playing Candy Crush. And the guy next to me kept looking over his shoulder, and he sees me saying Zoho, Zoho, Zoho. And at the end of the keynote, he leans over and he's like, wait, seriously, does it do, all the marketing and all this, and it integrates into phone systems too? And I said, yeah. And he goes, do you know who I am? I said, I'm sorry, I don't know anybody here. And he goes, well, I'm his boss. So I was like, okay, well, and he's like, do you work for Zoho? I'm like, I don't. I just tell you, we happen to use it. We need it for the CRM. We need it for the marketing hub. And at the time, we were still researching how to get it integrated into the finances. So if you were a small business, I would dare you to tell me why you wouldn't use Zoho, given the size and scope of what you're able to do in it. Like I said, if you think about it from the terms of come in with your problems, not with your feature list that you need.
our focus is mainly small businesses and using software to solve some of the problems they have. We've been talking largely about integration, but of course there's also automation. Is there anything we can add?
For sure. I'd say like one of my favorite things about Zoho early on as a marketing director, you don't think in terms of a singularity. It's not about a campaign. It's about the whole scope of a campaign.
Right.
And what's brilliant about Zoho and what you can integrate into it, again, an anecdote, right? So we were at a conference. It was a big medical conference where we were, one of the few call centers there selling answering services to doctors. I had built in 2 weeks' time from scratch, meaning I didn't know any of the software before I started using it, a completely automated campaign wherein they would visit our booth, they would fill out the lead form. From that lead form, it automatically hit their email up with an introductory, thank you for stopping by the booth. They would, from there on the same screen, be able to participate in a live game. That game connected them directly to one of our agents, because the whole scope was, look how good our agents are. Secretly, they were my marketing team. That game was run through Zoho. So the person who would connect in, we used Phone Bridge. They talked to my agent. They, hopefully had a great time. And when they were done, they could fill out a Zoho form. All of that information got filled into the backend in Zoho CRM, where I had a bunch of workflows set for the next 6 weeks so that we could maintain a relationship with literally everybody who stopped at that booth, so that I was ensured if they were truly interested in our services, they could raise their hand appropriately without me having to chase them down or have our sales team have to do that chasing either. The sales team could do what they do best. The marketing team could worry about the next thing down the line. That kind of automation comes easy in Zoho, and that was me using a bunch of tools the wrong way. Later, I learned about Marketing Hub. So it still worked out.
You seem to be an anecdote machine. Whether you have any other anecdotes that you can think of that kind of explain, how small businesses can use software in ways that maybe they just didn't even think about. We just talked about the sales process and how many people it would take to do all that following up.
Okay. You're challenging me. I think I can accept that challenge. Prior to my job at the call center, I worked for the Joint Commission in healthcare. My job there, I had a very long title that basically equated to, as I would say, teach Facebook to old people. I was there to be their event manager, and we had to have event management apps. I audited that hilariously, and this is before I knew what Zoho was, but I met with all the big names in event management software at the time. None of them seemed to work because we had a very specific use case. We would have anywhere between 35 to 60 events a year, small, under 300, 400 users. But these are power users, all hospitals and medical facilities and private practices that all need software and all need to learn whatever it is the topic of the day happened to be. My job was getting all the material to them inside an event app, and then thinking about how to better engage those customers, whether it was to sell more of our publications, get them to sign up to other events, or even check out some of the other software solutions and things that we did. It was after I left that job and found Zoho by way of the call center job that I called my old manager and said, hey, I know that we found a solution with, I believe the company was Double Dutch, who did an excellent job. I'm like, you may want to check out Zoho Backstage. I think it does the same thing. I think at the time it would be a cost savings to the Joint Commission at scale. And as I said, it's the Zoho infrastructure allows for more customization, which I knew my boss, he himself was kind of a code monkey. Very exciting at the prospect of being able to be a little bit more customizable for their needs.
Well, that's it for another episode of Small Biz in 15. Thanks again to Marc Fishman of CodeFish and Zoho for making this program possible. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show, and please leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future programs. For more small business news and tips, join us at smallbiztrends.com.